Jones. This is my husband, Forrest. We've been married for 15 years, and this is our house.
The concept of tiny house tool came from the concept of making your home a tool that facilitates the rest of your life, as opposed to a mortgage that takes over your life. So, and then it sort of morphed a little bit from there. It became more things. He's got a cold, so.
Yeah.
Hi. You like the camera?
Can you say hi to the camera?
Well, the concept of the tiny house isn't to build a house. The concept of the tiny house is to provide a method of freedom for people. It's how do you get away from daily concerns about the mortgage and the power bill, and I need a job that pays me more money, but now I need a fancier car, and how do you crush all that? And the easiest way to do it is to throw away everybody's preconceived notion about how you're supposed to live, the size of house you're supposed to have, and what's new.
What we're trying to do is let people know that we exist. We're here. He knows how to build houses, and I'm pretty good with words. And what we want is for people to know that you can have this kind of house or a similar one built for your own purpose, for your tool to make your life the way you want it. And so video, the blog I'm writing, all of the things are so that we can let you know we're here and you can come to us and we'll build you a house.
I've been working on structures most of my life. When I was 14 years old, I was the breakfast cook in the morning for my parents' business in the mountains. And we had 19 structures we were taking care of on a regular basis and improving general upkeep, maintenance, plumbing, all those things. Totally off-grid system. And so I sort of started with the whole concept of being totally different than norm because we existed in a place that was different than norm. And it went from there. I took a job as a project manager for a home builder. I was responsible for 400 individual house builds. In 1 year of my tenure there, I got 18 standard plans approved, worked with engineers and cities and drafters and marketing departments. And anyways, the kids are having fun back there. But all those different departments that come together to give you an idea, present an idea, and turn an idea into a building that somebody lives in and pays a mortgage on. In addition to that, we in 2004 purchased a red brick schoolhouse. It was built in 1918. The basic structure itself had about 2,600 square feet, and there was a detached 1,200 square foot accessory dwelling unit, which was a mother-in-law quarters. And we stuck a 1,400 square foot garage office building onto that, and did a number of other property improvements on that 2-acre piece. By the time we left in 2015, we had about 3,100 square feet of living space. Nice little mortgage that went along with that. A lot of fun areas, grass, trees, large vertical structures, things like that.
You also flipped that other house during that time too.
Well, I've done a number of improvements. We've done about 6 structures on our own that were specific standard home style structures. And the thing I like about tiny houses is that it's not standard. Do anything you want.
We moved into this tiny house July of 2016. So we're more than a year at this point, and loving
Almost
it.
a year and a half.
Yeah, it's almost a year and a half now, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's got a degree in ag business, and he knows how to do that. He just went through the list of all of the things he's done that goes with building and his knowledge there. So he's basically the technical guy. I don't do numbers, I do words. So when he writes something, sometimes I'll be like, "Ooh, you did good!" And other times I'm like, no, let me redo this for you. And then, I like to write. I play with words. I've written a novel. I'm the word person. So that's what I do. I type. I get a little bit snarky sometimes. And so my role is to be not exactly the face, but the voice, I guess. And he's the technical guy and takes care of everything.
And I have a hat.
So do I.
Yeah, but mine is like an Indiana Jones.
For me, I'm happy with my husband, my kids, and something to read. And cooking. Cooking is important.
For me, I'm happy with Christ, and then my family and friends fall after that. I'm a credible designer, and I'm a credible idea breaker, but I traffic in ideas is really what I like to say, and I like breaking molds. The building thing is a sidebar to that. You know, I can make a right angle, I can get a A35 Simpson bracket and attach it in the right way. You know, I mean, all those things, I could do those things. I've done them all. I've put roof joists up, I framed walls, you know, I've even done tile work and set countertops and poured concrete countertops for that matter. Put appliances in, run gas piping. I mean, but that's all simple stuff. I mean, the hard part is to design it and to think of something that isn't standard. I mean, why do people put a stove that has 5 or 4 burners in it in a kitchen when they really don't need a stove with 4 burners in one place? Well, it's cheaper to build, and so it became a tradition. So I think the idea here would be maybe we throw the stove out, put the oven below the counter, and have more counter space. Then we can have a tiny house that has more counter space than standard apartments. Oh wait, we did that.
Forrest has always been a designer. It's one of the things he does to relax and have fun sometimes is pulls out the 1/4-inch graph paper and starts drawing a house. He's designed houses to live in hillsides. He's designed greenhouses in the middle of it with like a stream going through it. And that was like 2 or 3 stories tall, I think. So we could have like the entire garden inside. Just random fun things. What we talk about turns into a design for a home. And so what makes him credible is he's been doing that the entire time I've known him. And so when we started seriously talking tiny house, I said, but wait, I have to be able to cook for people. And we have to be able to have people over for supper, because otherwise what's the point? A lot of our life involves that. And he was able to do that for me. Like he said, I have more counter space in my tiny house than a lot of people have in their apartments. It's what I needed, and he designed it because that's what was requested and needed. It makes him credible. He listens and he delivers. By saying that we are Tiny House Tool, and the reason why it's a tool is to make the houses work for you instead of you working for your house, I think that puts both of us mostly in the we like tiny houses partially because we are frugal movement. Frugality is good. I don't like spending a lot of money on things I don't need.
Freedom is good.
And freedom. He's the part of the freedom movement. That's the one. So frugality and freedom. We want the freedom to live the way we want, and we want to be able to pass that on to other people too.
We have to have 3 Fs. Frugality, freedom, and fun movement.
But you're Forrest, so that's 4 Fs. Forrest's freedom, frugality, and fun. It's important to tell the story so people know that we exist and that they can do this too, even though sometimes it's really scary and people are like, what the heck are you doing? But you know what? It works. We're a real family. You've seen 2 of our 3 children cross through the camera at some point or another.
The other one's playing in the dirt again.
Yeah, well, he likes dirt.
But the whole concept is an idea issue. It's how do we change it, adjust it, function it, and incorporate the things that people want in their lives into a building that's 204 square feet.
I'm a person that likes to listen to people and try to give them a solution sometimes. So this is a solution.
I don't usually step on toys as much because it's easier to clean.
I hate cleaning. I get to be with my kids. I get to take care of things.
You know, when you start considering what it costs to just put food on the table, and then you start adding in that people go out and buy a new car, and somehow they're trying to pay for a roof over their heads and all those things that go into it. I mean, a typical mortgage in the Central Valley is way cheaper than San Diego. But you're still paying $1,200 to $1,600 a month. And $1,200 to $1,600 a month, and you got another $700 in food, and you ate out this month. Now you're at $2,500, and then you got gas.
The car payment.
Yeah, and then so by the time you're done, you've got both people working full time, and you still don't have enough money. And so the debt gets bigger, and pain gets longer, and I mean, how do you deal with that? Well, you make a house that costs less than a Ford Fusion.
And old enough to have 3 kids, having not started immediately upon getting married, and so we're not the generation that's coming out of college and trying to start their lives right now, but I'm friends with some of them. And they look at me and they're like, I don't want the big house. I don't want the mortgage. I don't even know what I want to do. So why would I try to tie myself to that? And why do I, so, people don't want to have to pay the rent on something that's just basically throwing money away, except for the fact that you get to have a shower and a place to dry your clothes. It's exploding because people want to explore new possibilities and not live the lives that their parents and grandparents lived. Suburbia doesn't work out for everyone.
Unless you have a tiny house.
In suburbia.
We've always been eclectic. We've had a lot of places we're doing things. We're always going places. I've been writing business plans since I was at college, Cal Poly. In terms of business and business model for building tiny houses, not specifically. I've got a lot of friends who are in service-based business, and they've done well by being trustworthy and honest and fruitful and all those things that go with that. Treating the customer right, following through, providing a service for somebody. So I've got a lot of mentors in terms of how you treat your customer and how you want to be. But for me, it comes down to relationship. Businesses are about relationships. And you're either building relationships or you're not around very long.
Because of Forrest's background as working for a production home builder, he knows how to get things done at a more reasonable cost than some people do. And also because we want to be a tool, we have a lower price point so people can actually afford to get into a tiny house for a reasonable cost.
Hey, when you have scarcity in a system, the value of the items that are in the system are worth more. The problem is number one, it makes it hard for people to commit. Number two, it totally avoids the whole purpose of living in a tiny house. I've got a friend who's fairly involved in a large city government. In fact, at one point they were the 7th largest city in the world. Well, maybe the nation. So I don't know. Anyways,
I couldn't answer. I don't know if you're talking about it.
And I spoke with him on the phone after they did a release that they were going to allow tiny houses to be on 5,000 and 6,000 square foot lots. And he said the biggest issue that we see is that the cost of buying a tiny house for $75,000 and then buying a lot for whatever cost that's going to be and then providing the improvements for that to go along with it makes it cost prohibitive. Why would you do that as opposed to just buying a production built house for $220,000 with a conventional mortgage that goes 30 years? And I responded and said, well, I'm going to build one for around 30 or 35,000. He said, if you can do that, you're going to have people who need your help all day long. And that's what we're here to do, is to sort of throw conventional stuff. We're going to get away from conventional framing. I'm going to go with a polycarbonate or resin-based structurally insulated panel that has a closed foam polyurethane on it that gives me an R21 on the wall. And the reason I want to do that is I need a decent insulation value on the exterior wall, but at the same time I want to have 8 foot clear on the interior and still be under the roadway minimum so I can transport it anywhere in the country anytime I want without any special use permits.
And it's lighter too.
And it's lighter. Yeah, I mean, we'll probably be saving 20 to 25% off the structural weight of the building. Also allows us to decrease the trailer weight frame, but that's all conversations for a different time.
We've never been trendy. Tiny homes are trendy. Forrest and I have never cared about trendy. I have people in my life who absolutely despair of me ever wearing something that looks, on trend and decent. I wear what's comfortable, but it's
yeah, I know.
The comparison works. We're not here doing this because it's cool. We're doing it because we thought it would work for us, and it does, and we want to try to make other people do it too, not because it's cool and we can make a buck on it.
Well, we started before it was cool. You're a doll, man.
Oh, thank you so much.
The 2 things we designed it around were being able to cook for the family and have 12 people for dinner. In terms of design, it's about people. We love having people over. We love doing things as a group, So there's 2 of these tables. They're milled out of lumber that I found on one of my properties. It's a coastal sequoia. It's about 28 inches in width, and this piece is about 4 feet long. There's a second one that goes there, which is contiguous, and all the greens line up. So you can have 12 people literally sitting around here with a meal that you've cooked in the tiny house kitchen on slabs that I milled as well, which are pine, beetle-killed pine with gorgeous bluing line on them. But the materials for this build were born out of expediency. When we decided we were going to do this, I had a lot of ideas, including a translucent wall panel at the back that was insulated, so you'd have light coming in the summer. You open it, you just let the wind blow through. A double French door instead of a single French door. I've got a number of add-ons and steps that we're going to make in the future, including doubling the size of the building when we get some more engineering done. But the materials themselves sort of came out of where I was and what I was doing. The bar behind us is made out of cedar from another tree I milled. The stick framing, like I said, was born of expediency. We needed to get going, so we decided to do it in a standard form. I framed 2 feet on center, which is, a little bit wider. Normally you do 16 inches on center, just so you have more contact points with your plywood, but the entire exterior sheared. We also have interior shear, so there's really not a structural issue. In fact, when we were transporting it the first time, my buddy who was transporting it forgot that there was a 2-foot mound in front of it and fires up the truck and pulls the thing right over it. So the first test of fire was a 2-foot bump that we ran over. So, long-term structurally insulated panels are going to be way stiffer, way stronger. You can throw a hurricane at them, and as long as the thing's anchored, it won't even move. And we've got all that designed. Mm-hmm. And so we have a full-size washer-dryer sitting in the house. Well, I'm not going to stand in a bathtub that's 18 inches in diameter and try to wash myself. So I went back to the old wet bath. Throw standard concepts out, use something that works. We have a 5 by 5.5 foot walk-in shower. You can fit 15 people in there.
As long as you like each other.
Yeah, and you're not showering. That would be indecent.
Yeah, showering, no.
Double-walled poly panels, which are used for greenhouses, onto the walls in the bathroom. And then we ran an LED strip around the top, so I can push a button, and my walls glow red and green. It's like, look, do anything you want. And if it doesn't work, rip out the damage and fix it. It's not hard. My favorite's probably the countertops because I milled them myself. And we've had guests actually in the house. A couple friends of ours at different times have stayed.
My nephew came over once and slept up in the kids' loft with the kids.
Yeah. Challenge your thought process. The ground floor is approximately 204 square feet. It's 22 long, 8.5 wide, and then there's a punch out on the tongue, which gives you a little bit of a weird dimension. We also have a 2-foot shed in the back that encompasses our 1-ton air conditioner. And it's a mini split unit, produces plenty of air conditioning and heat during the winter. We use it as a pantry for additional food. I've got my water heater back there. I've got my propane tank back there. With the lofts, if you incorporate the lofts, I say it's about 320 square feet. Our loft has a queen-size bed in it, has a closet in it. The closet's, 8 feet wide. It's a short closet. It's 3 feet tall.
My dresses kind of go...
But they're there. Kids, we've chosen to get their stuff into bins so they come down and have a little bit of privacy, and they're just primarily sleeping in the loft. But they've all got a little bit of space and a little bit of toys and special things up there, and the rest of their toys exist elsewhere.
As we've said at least 3 times, I think, had to have enough room in the kitchen to cook for a party of 12, and enough room in the seating area to seat and feed a party of 12. That was one, because we literally have had people over for meals regularly up to 3 times a week. It's important. Crucial. We had to have space for everybody to sleep without having to convert the house.
Oh, yeah.
Because converting the house is terribly annoying. When we moved in, little man here was just 1, and he obviously couldn't climb the kids' ladder. So first we had him up in the bedroom with us, and then when we got tired of that, we brought him down here to the kitchen, and he slept on the kitchen floor for 6 months, 8 months, I don't know.
He had a mattress.
He had a mattress. He has his own bed with customized sheets.
Yeah.
But having to pick up the mattress and carry it up to the loft or stash it in the bathroom or whatever it was.
And I would say
Network.
that makes an item. It's crucial that when you live in any home, whether it's a tiny house or a real house, that the things that you do on a standard basis don't have to be converted to do them. So everything in this building we've designed so that it's always there. You don't have to take something out of a wall or move something all the way around. You know, there's some little stuff, you know. If we want, we pull out some folding chairs and add it to the table. You know, if we're going to bring in the other one, we have our relief that adds on. But they're not functions that you have to do for your everyday portion of life.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously we can't have all the kids' games or all the kids' books or anything all out at once. But
they have as much space in the living room here as they would in a standard bedroom to play.
Your nose hurts. We definitely needed the full-sized washer and dryer. With a family of 5, 3 of whom are children currently under the age of 8. And somebody who does a lot of construction work and doesn't seem to care whether he's wearing the clothes that he's already ruined or not. You've got to be able to do real laundry. And the cooking was important. Forrest already mentioned that the stove as is, we could take or leave. We actually have already bought other burners.
I chickened out on the stove.
Yeah.
I had totally redesigned the kitchen to basically remove the stove from the kitchen. And at the last minute, I chickened out. And I said, I'm going to stick a standard stove in. So I have a 5-burner stove with double oven in this building. We've had both ovens going. We've had 3 things on the thing. We could do full Thanksgiving dinner with what we have in the tiny house, and you never know the difference.
The ovens are a necessity. I bake. It's very important.
What'd you do today? Macaroons?
Yeah, macaroons.
Whether you build it yourself or you have somebody else build it, choose what's crucial for your life and incorporate it into it. The other things can function somewhere else. It's like that jar of sand. You put the rocks in first. Jesus, family, kids, work, and all the sand sort of fits around the stupid thing. Do the same thing with your tiny house. It's a tool. It's not something to control you. It's a tool. Make it a tool. They'll facilitate everything you do.
Don't conform to somebody else's idea of what a tiny house should be.
That's what you said.